how to make our practice not so complicated. We have this idea that we have to be doing hours and hours of our physical practice, or we have to have this set rules to anything. So some people may call this a chant. I like to use it as a mantra. So just being able to put it out there that may everyone feel whole, may all beings feel whole, may all beings everywhere. So it's not just human beings or animal beings, it's everybody as a collective. So we're looking at heart opening and back bending today. So this is about the heart chakra. What do you think happens when a chakra is not open? What do you think that might mean when the heart chakra is not open? Any ideas? Blockage. Yeah, blockage. So you're closing down. It's like an internal cuddle. So when you're rounding your shoulders and you're closing down, what you don't realize is that your hips follow. And then you start to bring your chin down and it's like this. So it's like a massive hug. It's like an internal hug that your body's doing. So though the heart chakra, people might think, so what does chakra mean? Just so we know.
Energy center.
An energy center means will as well. It's this whole kind of circle of energy inside us. And this flows up and down a
Spine.
yeah. So it flows up and down your shushumna. I love that word. So it flows up and down your shushumna and it comes off like little rivers all the way through your body. So you have your main energy center, which is your chakra. We're going to do this. I'm going to do all the way up to Christmas. I think I'm talking about in weekends about chakra systems. So you'll learn a lot more. So just it flows all the way up and down the body and each main chakra. But off of that, there's these little rivers, okay, like we were talking about. So there's these little rivers that flow off, and these are called nadis, and there's 72,000 roughly of them, okay? So all flowing through your body. So this is flowing up and down your body, but when there's one blockage somewhere, and now say I'm blocked at the heart, what we're looking at, now that energy is not flowing upwards. So I can't express myself. I'm stuck. I can't mean what I say and say what I mean. I'm stuck in my heart. And then I'm not resolving anything else down here. I'm not moving up. They reckon that the normal human beings usually are stuck in the first 3 chakras. We don't even get up to the heart chakra. So we want this energy flowing equally through our body so we protect ourselves. And we're like this. This can represent a protection that I've been hurt before. So I'm protecting myself, that I'm holding on to something that someone's hurt me. But what about like what I might have done, carrying the guilt of hurting someone else or not wanting to hurt someone else? So I'm carrying that. And the other thing is that I may be protecting and not wanting people to come close to me because I'm not in a relationship with myself. I've got nothing nice to say about me. I'm not good enough. Or, you know, as ladies, sorry for the gentlemen in the room, but I might be protecting that I don't want to show my breasts. So a lot of women do this. They're like, oh no, I can't stand up straight. So there's lots of reasons this area might be blocked and is protection, but it also could be the other way, that I could be kind of like just kind of putting a face on and pretending so I can overdo it, you know, as well. So it can go both ways, usually this way as a protection. So what I could be doing is I could be clinging on to this, some form of suffering. So I'm clinging to it. So actually the suffering's not holding me back. I'm just not letting go of the suffering. I'm attached to it. We've done this a lot, and we cling to it. I am the way that I am because my mother dropped me on my head. I am the way that I am because I've been through a divorce. It's like my life story, isn't it? One of the things that people sort of do ask me and say, it's like, you seem kind of quite open to talk about it, or you can talk about what's happened to you in the past, or what you're going through now, Dawn. It's because it's not defining me. I'm not in the suffering. I'm accepting and moving on. So I've processed it, I've looked at it, I've recognized it, and I'm choosing not to cling to it. If we look at the beautiful printouts Julie gave to us, this Yoga Chitta Ritti Nirodha. So these sutras that have been the first ones that here. So if we look at 1, 2, and then 1, 3, and 1, 4. These ones, they say Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So Patanjali's, we gathered that Patanjali's was a man, okay? And Patanjali's put down his notes of his studies and gave us this beautiful book, okay? And these studies here, they say if you master the first 4 of the book, you don't have to read the rest of it. Did you know that, Jeanette? So we don't have to read any more. Are we enlightened? So the whole book keeps explaining to us in a different way this Yoga Chitta Ritti Nirodha. If you stop identifying with the thoughts and fluctuations of your mind, then you have yoga. Have we reached it yet? You have. Well, you've retired. So you have no Chitta Ritti Nirodhas. Yeah? So again, if that's the way it works, so it's saying to us that once we stop identifying with the thoughts and fluctuations of our mind, then we have this union, this connection to the rest of our mind, body and soul. Then it says, then you will see who you truly are. So what does he mean when he says, then you'll see who you truly are? Any ideas? If you stop identifying with the thoughts of your mind, then you can see who you truly are. What does he mean? What he's trying to say is once you stop identifying with the thoughts and fluctuations of your mind, then you become the seer, which is the soul. The mind is created from this outside world. Yeah? It's like a TV. Yeah? It's reflecting what you're putting out there from your thoughts, from your suffering, from your kleshas, your obstacles, from your previous relationships, the relationships with your parents, and then the relationships that your parents had with themselves is all in your mind. When you're growing up, the experiences you've had at school all hold up in there, unless you've let them all go. All of that past suffering and your parents' suffering is all caught up within your mind. Yeah? Your stored house of emotions all up in here. So when you stop identifying with that, then you can see your true potential, who you truly are. So then the seer can see the seen. That's what he's saying. And that's the scene. This. What's going on in the world. Make sense? And then he says, but now and again, you will attach to the scene. Yeah? Now and again, you will get caught up in what's going on around you. And then you have to remind yourself to not identify with the thoughts and fluctuations of your mind. This grasping, clinging. It's like you have control to put out in the world what you want to put out in the world. You have full control of that. And that's what he's saying to us. What did we say the other day, Julie? What's this, about 300 BC, roughly? So it's like, and people go to me, we had a conversation yesterday, people go to me, how relevant is the philosophy these days, Dawn? Well, how relevant do you think it is? Has any of you nailed this yet? Yeah? So we can. So I say it's like, well, you get up in the morning, you stub your toe, you've coloured the whole day. It's like, you know, I'm frustrated and I'm pushing it at you. I'm pushing it at you. Do you want to take it? No, your choice. No. Or you engage in the scene and you bite back and you start shoving your block at me. It's your choice to create the world that you want out there. And it's like your brain and your heart are communicating. It's like a road, backwards and forwards. So what you think up here is traveling down, you know? So you can walk in a room and you can start saying to yourself, they're all looking at me, they're all judging me. And then before you've known it, you've rounded. Then people are looking at and going, oh, you know, she doesn't look very approachable, or he doesn't look very approachable, I won't go over there. You've created the scene. So how you want others to treat you, you need to treat them. How you want others to treat you, you need to show that and have that communication. And it's also how you want others to see you. You want to see yourself like that. And that's took years and years. I think I've been working on that probably from about 20 years old. Really working on that. Sending blessings to myself. Could never, ever, ever do it. I reckon I could only send blessings to myself for about the last year. I couldn't do it before. I could forgive others for hurting me, but I couldn't send blessings to myself. You know? It's like you see people sometimes the way that they talk to their children, or they communicate with others, and then they're like, and then they wonder why that's, you know, they're shouting and screaming at each other, you know, and they wonder why, you know, where did that happen? Where did that break down? So it's that communication, and that communication to the way you speak to yourself is so important as well. So this is what Patanjali's is telling us, that this mind is the massive, it's where it all stems from. And if you're living a lie, how long is that before it starts to see the cracks? How long before this physical body starts to show it? Have you ever seen someone full of bitter and hate? It eats away at you. You know, I've done it in so many workshops and retreats before. I've like, how long can we hold the brick up? You remember this? You've all been in these workshops. Yeah? How long can you hold the brick? Well, that's how long you're carrying something. What, for 20, 10, 5 years? How heavy is the brick going to get? But you're carrying it around with you. And when's that going to start to show on the body? So it will start to show this suffering inside you, this hatred to yourself, this dislike to yourself, this living a lie, this protection. You start saying, my back hurts me, I haven't got a strong core, Dawn, blah, blah. And it's all from here. And that is all about moving up and more open. And it's scary to start to let people in and start to learn to love yourself, to forgive yourself, to forgive others. It's scary. You don't have to have them over for a cup of tea, you know. I haven't had the people over for a cup of tea. Couldn't fit them all in my house. But, you know, it's like you don't, you know, it's the forgiveness, it's the letting go and the acceptance, and then moving on. I wish them the best. because it's like, do you think they're getting up in the morning and thinking about you? I thought about that for long and hard. I thought, I wonder how long that person thinks about me. They forgot about you like ages ago. You're feeding it, you're giving it the energy because you're still bringing it up in your mind. So to start to move on, one of the ways is that we have to move the physical body. And why do we move the physical body? To start to shift this energy and to start to open up the heart, to start to really let go. The only way to do this is to surrender and to move into the space. Brute force will never get you there. It was about 3 years, I would say, after my dad's death. I was my dad's carer. About 3 years after my dad's death. And I went into a bow pose and I grabbed my ankles and I lifted up. And it felt like the whole of my chest cracked open. And again, I just couldn't stop crying in class. I couldn't tell you why I was crying. But it was that whole kind of opening, you know. But I'd been working on that. Because I was the carer for my dad and I was carer for my mum and I was keeping all this juggling together. I didn't even cry at my dad's funeral. It's like holding everything together and then I just like, oof, a release. And I was living near Lakenheath base at the time. And I remember I drove into the back of this American soldier's car. Boof, straight into the back of his car. Didn't even see it, you know. I was so caught up in my own mind, and I drove into the back of this car and he come out. I won't do the American accent because I'll mess it up. I'll let you do it. So he come out and he's like, hi ma'am. I was like, oof, if I felt better, I would have done it for me, but it, you know. So he come out and I was like, I'm so sorry, it's totally my fault, you know, And he looked at me and he went, are you okay? And I went, yeah, no, I'm fine. And he went, no, are you okay? And I just looked at this guy and I went, no, I don't think I am. And he just drove off. I was like, you're supposed to believe, like, what a weird woman. And he just completely drove off, didn't take any details. He just left me. And I got home and I looked in the mirror and I had long hair down to here, long curly hair, when I first started caring for my dad. By then I'd cut it up to here. It was falling out in handfuls. I had big bags under my eyes. I was in a toxic relationship. I was exhausted. And I was so becoming more and more frustrated. And I picked up my mat the next morning and I walked it back into a yoga class that I hadn't been in probably since I was like 18, 19. And I walked back into a yoga class and I've practiced every day since. Something on my practice because I was getting ill. So sometimes we have to go through suffering. We have to go through trauma to actually turn that corner to realize that we need to have this self-study and self-inquiry. If you think you can be in human form without any form of suffering, it's never going to happen. This is your Leela. This is your play. And we are all going to suffer some way. But it's your choice how you handle that through your physical practice, through your mantra, through your meditation, whatever works for you. Find your group of people, find where you feel safe and work through that. But unfortunately, we are going to suffer in some way.